The citizens and residents of Dominica, to the many volunteers who are here assisting us, the various NGOs, the various intergovernmental agencies, the regional international organizations, governments, many of the police officers from the various RSS countries, the folks from the Defense Force of Jamaica and Bahamas and Barbados and Trinidad. We want to greet you this morning. I returned to the country last evening from a trip in Washington. The details of that visit will be given in an address to the nation tomorrow. So I intend to address the nation tomorrow, and I will give details on this, among other ideas and programs and projects which the government is currently working on to bring our country back to a state of normalcy and recovery. First, I want to thank the police and, of course, the motorists. I have been told that there's been much improvement in access to the city. People have taken note of this, that they're able to get into the city much more efficiently and get out of the city much more efficiently. I think there has to be a mutual understanding and appreciation by the police and the road users that, look, we have to collaborate, we have to cooperate, because the more we collaborate and the more we cooperate and the more we get the understanding of the public, the quicker we can bring things to a state of normalcy. Without your understanding, without your cooperation, without your help, it's going to be much more difficult. So I really want to thank the general public, not only in the city but across the country. Across the country, people are already demonstrating the willingness to work with the authorities to improve the situation so that we can get things moving much more quickly than they're currently moving. I will be meeting with the insurance companies today at 2 p.m. to hear from them, to engage them in discussions, to see where they are with making payments to their customers, to see how the government can work with them to facilitate the assessments that will be done, and also the payments, because the insurance company and the insurance payouts, the payouts are going to be critical in the rebuilding of the private sector and the reconstruction of our private homes and private businesses, and even for the public sector itself, because many of the government structures would have been insured and they would have sustained extensive damage. So we'll be engaging the insurance companies. Is a follow-up on the number of consultations which the government has been having with the various groups within the country, so that we can ensure that we coordinate our response to the overall benefit of our citizens. I've been told that there's been gradual improvements in the delivery of supplies to the communities, food and other supplies. As we said, as the days go by, there'll be improvements. Wherever we get complaints of any shortcomings, we seek to intervene and have those addressed. So please keep your text and WhatsApp messages coming. Wherever you have a challenge, wherever you have an observation, wherever you have a suggestion as to how we can continue to improve the delivery of the supplies to our citizens, our residents, we welcome those suggestions and those ideas, because those ideas and suggestions, once given in good faith and constructively, we believe can help all of us who depend on the delivery of supplies to our respective homes, communities. As the Ministry of Education has indicated, schools will reopen on Monday, 16th October. The precise or the exact list or precise list of schools will be issued by the Ministry of Education by the end of today, so that students will know which schools they'll be attending. The ministry is suspending all uniform requirements, so you do not need to have your uniforms, because many of us students or children's uniform would have been destroyed or damaged, and there's no way to purchase new uniforms. So do not pay attention to what you wear in terms of your clothing. Once it is decent, you'll be allowed to get into the classroom. So we're suspending all uniform requirements for those schools which require uniforms for students. Once you get to school, the school will, in the first couple of days, hear from you, students and parents, because it's important that parents go to the schools on the first day with the children. So you can indicate to the schools which of you, your books have been completely destroyed or damaged, so that the ministry can make a proper assessment on the number of textbooks and the type of textbooks we need to order and purchase for the students in Dominica. And of course the government will underwrite the cost of procuring those textbooks and pass on free of charge to the students across Dominica. So it's important that we get that information from yourselves, parents and students, and of course depositing those requests to your respective schools, who will then transmit it to the Ministry of Education for processing. As I said, I will give an address tomorrow. The time will be announced later on my visit to Washington and Miami. I met in Washington with the United States Agency for International Development. I met with the State Department of the U.S. government. I met with the World Bank, also met with the IMF and the Clinton Climate Initiative and the Clinton Foundation. I also had a telephone conversation with President Clinton on some issues that we will be working on. So we'll give details of that tomorrow. But just to say that I was very satisfied. I am still satisfied with the visit to Washington, and of course details of that trip will be given in the address tomorrow. But very, very satisfied, and the extent of the attention which the entire World Bank team, from the president down to the lowest officer in the rank of the World Bank, has demonstrated and shown for Dominica, was really, really overwhelming and touching. You know, and of course the IMF, we had discussions with the IMF on certain matters and so forth. Of course, we will give you some more information tomorrow on the Green Climate Resilient Nation. We want to, as I said, we want to develop the first green climate resilient nation in the world. I met with a team in Washington, all of whom have agreed to assist us in developing this master plan, developing a master plan for the country, which of course we will share and engage all sectors of society in reviewing this plan, giving their input, giving their suggestions, proposing amendments to the plan, and we will, coming out of this national consultation with various stakeholders across the length and breadth of Dominica, then we will have a stamp of approval for this master plan and taking the country forward. Also met with the chairman of the Carnival Cruise Lines and other members of the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association. A very interesting meeting, very constructive. You know, all of the cruise lines have been exceptional in their efforts to Dominica, and at an appropriate time I will enunciate on the extent of the support to Dominica over the last several weeks. Tomorrow in my address I will also be indicating a review of the curfew. The Chief of Police has provided advice on the curfew, and so we're making some very important announcements where the curfew is concerned in the country, and those announcements will be made tomorrow. In the next 2 weeks, we shall hold a national consultation on agriculture, bringing in all stakeholders, all farmers, well, many farmers. It will be a wide cross-section of consultation or regional international partners or local agricultural experts to discuss agriculture. The government has some ideas. We will bounce those ideas at this consultation and get the feedback of the participants, so that at the end of the day we can come up with a national strategy on the resuscitation of the agricultural sector. We'll also, in my address tomorrow, will be announcing a package of assistance to the farming community. So we'll be announcing that in the address tomorrow, We've identified a source of funding. There's a commitment for a source of funding for that. So we will announce tomorrow some of the areas that we will be providing direct support to the farmers and also small business owners. We'll also be articulating the extent of some support, financial support, to the farmers and small business operators in our country. So I really want to thank all of us for pushing on. I expect to travel to Brussels very soon. I'm confirming the dates, but very soon I will travel to Brussels again to seek to raise funds to engage the European community, the European Commission, on areas that they could provide support to us. They have made certain commitments. We're trying to see how we can push further for additional commitments in various fields. So we will be discussing that with the European Union in the next week or two, once we can confirm those appointments. Tomorrow I will also make an announcement on a major gift that we received from a U.S. company, a major U.S. company. We had discussions with them, and they have made an offer of a 3-megawatt solar generator to Dominica. This is a major gift to us, and we've started to engage Domlec to see how that can be factored into their re-electrification of Dominica. So this is a major, and I will announce the company that has provided that to us, but it's a major gift to Dominica, and we're very grateful to this American company that has provided that massive gift to Dominica. So we're very grateful for this. So tomorrow we'll give more details on this trip, but just to say that I left Washington and Miami. I'm comforted by the fact that that there are many people out there who have our back and who are committed to assisting us, not only in the rescue and relief phase of our efforts, but also in our recovery and rebuilding phase. Tomorrow I will also announce one benefactor who has agreed to provide 100 new homes to Dominica. Homes that can withstand Category 5 hurricanes, and taking into consideration all of the energy efficient aspects. And that benefactor has also committed to building 2 new schools for us. So I will give details on that benefactor and more details about the 100 homes and these 2 schools, and among other things, which this particular benefactor has committed to doing for us. So things are coming in there, and we'll speak to a strategy on housing, both for temporary housing and permanent housing, because we have to get all of us who are in shelters out of shelters in the shortest possible time. So the government will have to embark on some very short-term housing solutions. These are not permanent. We'll build temporary housing facilities for you with adequate sanitation facilities and kitchen facilities. But that's really, really short-term. Okay, so I don't want anybody to say when we start to build them that, oh, look what Skerrit building for us and so forth. It is extremely short-term. I know Dominicans very well, but we have to get you out of the schools. The schools and the church buildings are not comfortable, and we know that you're having a difficult time in those shelters, and it's not our intention to have you in those shelters for months. I do not want Independence or Christmas to come with all of us in shelters. We have to try to get you out as quickly as possible. So we'll be engaging in some very, very short-term but comfortable temporary housing while we work on the long-term solution. Because with the long-term solution, we have to get proper advice. Where we're going to build, we must get the geotechnical studies done. Where we're going to build, we must properly survey the area. Where we're going to build, we must get experts to come and advise us whether it is a safe place to build. So we're just not going to build back anywhere and everywhere in Dominica. We have to be selective, we have to seek proper advice, and we have to be guided on where we're going to build. So these things will take some time. In terms of getting it going. But we have already been engaging companies and institutions and organizations and foundations out there on the provision of homes for Dominican citizens. Because in my own calculation, and I don't want you to hold me to this, because I've not done any detailed calculations, but just taking my calculator and doing some maths, we're gonna need about certainly no less than 1.5 billion EC dollars to build homes to Dominicans. You know, if we, you know, and this is just outside of the infrastructure, that's just to build homes. And I'm not talking about repairing your homes or giving you back a roof, to build homes in Dominica. So one can appreciate the sheer cost of providing adequate housing for our citizens. But we're committed to this. Let us work together. There'll be some short-term interventions which we will start hopefully by next week to build some temporary shelters for you, so that you can move in, have your own little space, your own family space, you know, so that if you want to walk with your boxer and no shirt on in your private space, you can do so. No, you can't do so at the shelters and so on. So let's work together, my friends. It's one day at a time. You know, we shouldn't expect to do everything at the same time. You know, this is a small country, as we all know, very limited resources. But by working together, we can make things happen. You know, and every day I wake up, I am even more positive about the future of Dominica and the fact that we have an opportunity to build a more resilient nation. And there are many aspects. We'll be rolling out what the new, insofar as telecommunication services, for example, what the new Dominica should entail, should have in terms of telecommunications. In terms of energy, what should we have? In terms of sustainable livelihoods, you know, we're working on this. We're working with folks and international organizations and foundations on a reforestation program to get our forests back into shape. You know, so the number of elements that are working behind the scenes that you will not see walking the streets of Dominica, because a lot of the work has to be done behind the scenes, negotiations, engagements, and it is a very tedious and very time-consuming aspect, but we're committed to this. We're very much committed to this. So I want to thank all of you, and to thank the media, and to thank Dennis for his service thus far, and all of you who are out there working diligently for ourselves and for our country. You know, so always understand we're working for God and for country. Thank you. God bless you.